ngoro dzomoto dzauya vakomana hondo yaJehovha watinonamata ngoro dzinopatsanura.
My fellow countrymen, the scripture tells us that there is an hour that is not only coming, but that has in fact already come. We can choose to live as though it is yet to come, in which case we will be prolonging our own suffering, or we can rise up and collectively become the builders of the future that must replace our grim present. That grim present includes the fact that we have brothers and sisters, sons and daughters, who are yet to understand that there is less to fear from the change that we seek than from obeying orders that violate the constitutional rights of Zimbabwean citizens. It is our individual and collective responsibility to make them understand that this is the hour for them to refuse to be used. Yave nguva yekuramba kushandiswa. Sokuyisikhathi sokwala ukusetshenziswa. Now, just as much as they have a responsibility not to threaten us, we have a responsibility not to threaten, but to educate those who do not know that Part 1, Section 208 of our Constitution says members of the security services must act in accordance with this Constitution and the law. 2, neither the security services nor any of their members may, in the exercise of their functions, A, act in a partisan manner, B, further the interests of any political party or cause, C, prejudice the lawful interests of any political party or cause, or D, violate the fundamental rights or freedoms of any person. As we approach the 2018 election, we must educate and remind every relative who is in the intelligence services, including those who are in the dreaded CIO and military intelligence, that Part 4, Section 224(2) of the Constitution says, any intelligence service of the state must be non-partisan, national in character, patriotic, professional, and subordinate to the civilian authority established by this Constitution. Our loved ones who are in these intelligence services must know that it is illegal and unconstitutional for anyone to order the persecution of people to advance a partisan agenda, or for those so ordered to obey such an order. They must know that those who give the orders often have the means to escape justice and the wrath of the people that are not available to the ordinary soldier, to the ordinary intelligence officer, and to the riot policeman. Indeed, when the bosses are lying at the hero's acre, the underlings who enforce their illegal orders will not, under the supreme law of our land, be able to claim innocence on the grounds that they were simply following the orders of their superiors. This is no longer time to be used. We must remind our mothers, our sisters, our grandmothers, who are mostly valued by the leaders for their kongonya dances and rallies, that being the loudest praise singers for failed leadership does not turn those leaders into competent builders who can bring back the economy they destroyed and the jobs that have been lost, or stop the rampant corruption that consumes the future of our children every day. At the end of the day, and when the rallies are over, while our leaders are chauffeured back to their mansions, our mothers go back to their grim reality, to homes without electricity and running water, to communities with uncollected garbage, and they go to bed wondering where their next meal is going to come from. Our mothers and sisters and jobless youth who have been reduced to attack dogs, to terrorize the imagined enemies of our political leaders in exchange for a few crumbs off of the master's table, must recognize that citizens do not exist simply to protect the rights and privileges of a few. It is time for Zimbabwe's citizens to claim what they have never claimed, including the flag and, yes, even our constitution. It is time our mothers and youth discovered that what will ultimately protect us as a people is not the knowledge of the manifesto of any political party, but knowing our rights and responsibilities as enshrined in the constitution of our country, which is the supreme law of our land, and being willing to fight for those rights. It is no longer time to be used, but to understand that the right to life and personal liberty does not belong only to those who belong to ZANU-PF, but to all Zimbabweans. It is no longer time to be used, but to know that the right to human dignity is not only for those who are politically connected, but for all Zimbabweans. It is no longer time to encourage those who destroy the future of our children, but to know that freedom of assembly, association, expression, the freedom to protest and petition, all of which are critically needed in order for our citizens to effectively participate in the building of our nation, belong to every Zimbabwean. Now, refusing to be used by a system where only a few monopolize Zimbabwe's resources, and only that few are free to fully exercise their constitutional rights at the expense of others, is just the beginning. Nations are not built on simply saying no to the bad, but on saying yes to the good, and on citizens actively participating as builders of their own future. In other words, this is no longer time to be used, but to build. The starting point is making Build Zimbabwe a mantra, a commitment we make to each other, and an indispensable part of our social contract. We must become citizen builders and not political thugs and hooligans. We must elect into office people who do not think that their political parties and leaders are sacred, but who believe instead in the promise and potential of all Zimbabweans from every race and tribe and wherever they are to be found on the face of the earth. The undying optimism of citizen builders must inspire those who have become despondent to become active participants in the country's renewal and restoration as Africa's best. After we have said enough is enough, zvakwana, sokwanele, we must begin the urgent task of rebuilding our country. This is Dr. Noah Manyika saying, friends and countrymen, is there not a cause?